Okay. Yeah. I want to back up just a little bit uh, to go directly after the heart swirl sexual love interaction and all of that happened in the back office. After that happened, and losing I was losing control of my mind, basically, like I had mentioned, but they had put me on medications and stuff like that. Well, anyways, it mysterious things started happening a lot after that. Like, for instance, I could start to smell things, like scents. They would come out of nowhere, like and I know, see, I'm a spiritual person. I always have been, and I could go back as far as I could tell you. Well, I might as well. I'm bringing it up. I've wrote about this on Facebook a couple of times about when I was about 6. It must have been, I must have just been 6 years old, 6 or 7. Sitting, we lived in Florida at the time, and this is my magic Barbie doll disappearing little story. At the time, we were living in this house, and on this particular day, my mom and my older sister were in the bathroom doing hair and makeup. They were getting ready. I can't remember for what. But anyways, I was in my bedroom, sitting on my bed, all by myself. And I'm just sitting there. I had my Barbie with me, and I used to keep her in this case. It was a dark green plastic case, and I had a lot of clothes and stuff. But anyways, I'm sitting on the bed, and all of a sudden this thought came into my head. I wonder if I can make this Barbie disappear. And so I'm sitting there, and I turned that dark case. You couldn't see through it. It was dark green. And I turned it upside down on my bed. And, yeah, so what I did, my Barbie was naked. And I put her underneath the case. And I had this thought, well, I'll shove a little bit of clothes under there with her. So I pick up the corner of this case, and I shove a little bit of clothes underneath her. And then I raised my hands, and I waved them over top of the case. So what I did was I waved my hands and I said, abracadabra, make my Barbie doll disappear, waving my hands across the top of the case. And so I said, yeah, abracadabra, make my Barbie doll disappear. And I picked up the case, and of course she's still there. So I put the case closed. I shove a little bit of more clothes under there. I pick up my hands and I wave them and I say, abracadabra, make my Barbie doll disappear. I look under there and she's still there. So I put the case down again. I shove a little bit of more clothes under there. I raised my hands, and I waved them and I said, abracadabra, make my Barbie doll disappear. This time, though, when I lifted the case, she was not there. Shocked the heck out of me. I had a big smile on my face, but I was like, she's gone. She's really gone. I was flipping through all the clothes that I had shoved under there, and she was gone. And a couple minutes later, my mom hollers to me from the bathroom. She says, Diana, come get your Barbie from behind the toilet. I was shocked. I jumped up, I ran into the bathroom, and sure enough, she was right behind the toilet on the floor. Here comes a train. Anyways, sure enough, my Barbie was behind the toilet. And I can remember picking her up, and I told my mom, and my sister's in there too, I told them what happened, what I just did. But I can't remember. They didn't seem so shocked. They didn't really care. And nothing, that's as far as it went. But pardon me. But believe you me, I knew what had just happened, and I couldn't believe it. And that stuck with me my entire life. And I still wonder the concept, if you dig into it really deeply, like it being older now and looking back, I keep thinking, how in the world did I make that Barbie disappear from there to go back behind the toilet? It just amazes me. It totally amazes me. So since a young age, that's not the only thing that happened when I was that age, in that house, in that room. But that's the main thing there that stuck with me through all my life. And even going back to that age, I can remember thinking I had a twin, and and I thought, at first when I was younger, and this was being like I was thinking this, or it was being told to me, like, by spirit. Now I never talked about anything else. That's the last I ever told my mom and my sister about the magical spiritual things that have happened to me. And so I kept everything to myself. But I always believed in the spiritual world since then. I've always had a connection with spirit, and yeah. So I had this impression that I had a twin out in the world somewhere. And being that young, I used to think I had a twin, like an identical twin sister that was adopted off out somewhere in the world, and she's calling out to me or something like that, which now I know is not the case. But since that time, and it's only been a few years since I've actually come to know this term called twin flames, and so that's what it's called. That's what I know it as to be called. Now I don't know, but that's what I understand it to be, is a twin flame, which is what I believe mine and Joe's connection is. But yeah, since I was young, I used to believe I had a twin somewhere out there in the world. And, yeah, so, I mean, I'm not a stranger to magical things happening. It doesn't scare me. Magical, mysterious, spiritual things, has always been a part of my life. But moving back up forward, after the heart swirl thing happened, and the chemical reaction between me and Joe and Phil in my body, and me losing my mind, and then being put on medication, I'm sitting out in the back office, and I had a computer out there, and this computer and a radio. Now I listen to the radio a lot, but sometimes the radio would be left on, and I would just turn the volume down. I just turned the volume down so I can't hear nothing, and I got to associate these two things together. When my computer made a clicking sound, I was to turn up the radio, and Def Leppard was on. And I tell you, every single time, without fail, no matter what I was doing, I would hear the click on the computer, whether the computer was on or off. Usually it was left on, but I would hear this click. And as soon as I heard the click, if I turned the radio up, Def Leppard was playing. So those two things associated with each other. And then I started smelling these smells. And it was as if one time it was like my nanny had put a spoonful of peanut butter up underneath my nose. Because I don't know how to explain this. I'm going to try. Being a spiritual person, I know the energy of who and of who is doing such and such, like, for instance, I knew that was my nanny putting the spoonful of peanut butter under my nose, and I used to smell these scents. Well, one day I'm out in the back office, and I smelled this vanilla scent, and it was strong. Now that my office door's closed, and I'm sitting in the office chair, and all of a sudden the scent of vanilla came from nowhere, and I was smelling it, and intuitively working this out, I was to follow that scent So what I did was I got up out of the chair and I opened the office door to go outside. And when I did, I smelled the scent again. So I was kind of excited. It's like an elated kind of high, a natural elated kind of high this was. And I followed the scent and I went out the side back gate door and I opened it up and I'd sniff around till I smelled it again and I ended up smelling it. So I'm following it, this trail of a scent of vanilla. And where we used to live, we were the last house on a dead-end street. And they used to have this culvert thing, like a ditch thing that was dirt in between. Now, it was a dead end on my side, and then it picked up on the other side of the road, but you couldn't get through it driving. You had to go all the way through the neighborhood to get to my house and go all the way to get back out. But there was this ditch-like culvert thing, and I was walking, and you could walk through this place I'm talking about. So I'm walking, and I smell the scent again. So I'm following it all the way across to the other side that would end up at the end of the road. And I got to the end of the road, and I kid you not, this car was pulling in the street, and I'm coming up off the ditch. And that car that pulled up, I swear it was Joe Elliott. I swear it was him driving because our eyes met. And I was thinking, Joe? And his eyes met my eyes. And when the guy driving that car, it was a white car. When that guy was driving that car, his eyes met mine. He put it in reverse and reversed back out of the street. And ended up turning around and leaving the neighborhood. As he left, my older son happened to pull in and ended up picking me up on that right there at the street and taking me back home. But yeah, that happened. I swear to this day it was Joe. Yeah, so that was a bit weird. But there's other things that happened. A lot of mental illness things too that occurred. Yeah, but that's just what happened. Little things like that. I could hear voices and I could smell scents. I could intuitively pick up things, you know. And yeah, that's some of the things that happened.